This is Pete Feenstra, GetReadyToRock.com, on the 21st of September 2010. Talking to Derek Sherinian on my left, Joe Bonamassa on my right, members of the brand new band Black Country Communion. Guys, you kicked off the band last night, very first gig.
Yes.
How did it feel for you? It felt great for the audience.
Felt great. I mean, it came together. We just got to run through the set a little bit earlier in the day, and then once downbeat happened, it just sounded great. It's a great lineup. Very intimate setup, Joe.
Yeah, well, we did it at John Henry's. That was the secret spot. Everybody was trying to figure out what we were doing, but it was secret and obvious at the same time. And John's always been really cool to us, and you know, I go back with him at least 2 or 3 years. So
you named an album after him.
I did. I named an album after him. But yeah, we had a blast last night. It was like a real
I think everybody that was there had a blast. I think just the fact they could see a brand new band right in their face was a great way to kick things off. But it's a curious thing because it's a very, very live album that you've made, both of you, and Glenn and everybody, Jason. But you're actually not going to gig behind it, or not immediately.
No, I mean, we're looking to do something maybe at the end of the year. You know, as far as doing a one-off concert. And we're going to tour next year, and I mean that's you know what it is because everybody has solo careers and commitments. You know, this year we find it very hard to we can't just cancel that and then you know go on tour with this. But it's going to be great when we crank it up next year. It's going to be like brilliant.
So it all must have come together quite quickly. I think originally. Excuse me, it was going to be a power trio, and then you came on board, Derek. Is that what happened?
Yeah, I don't know how long it was going to be a power trio for.
Actually, it never was.
Oh, right.
No, it was. Yeah.
Okay. But it sounds like that's at the core. But then last night you put in all those different colours and brought the bluesy element in with the B3, which is great. Don't we often see that in a rock gig nowadays?
No, it feels good to bring it back to basics using the vintage B3, and it's a pleasure for me to be able to just crank that Leslie out.
Your background is, of course, prog, metal, and fusion. Joe's is kind of blues, rock, blues. Have you both always wanted to be in an out-and-out classic rock band, which is what this appears to be? Yeah,
I think it is classic rock, but I think there's also elements of all of our influences as well, because we want to create a new sound, but at the same time be rooted in the origin. So we just don't want to be limited.
And in terms of songwriting, which is you've written all, with the exception of the Medusa, which goes back to before you and Jason were born, of course.
Trapeze,
kind of interesting concept. But how have you both found that being part of a new songwriting partnership with Glenn? Because you've both contributed in different ways.
Glenn's a great writer, and we've had a lot of fun writing the songs. I mean, you have to understand, like, these things came together at the very last minute.
Right.
Everybody had their hand in it. Kevin Shirley certainly had his hand in it, and it all kind of happened at the very last minute. But it was so kind of like manic and creative at the same time that I think you hear that energy on the album. So we're very proud of the album we made, and we think the song's really good. And I mean that's why we're all here. So.
And Glenn, of course, wrote all the lyrics. Were they all written specifically for this record, or did he have some lyrics that he wanted to drop?
That's a Glenn Hughes voice of rock question. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah. A rumor has it Glenn went down to South America with a conch shell and wrote a parrot and wrote the lyrics for the album, and then came and brought it up. So
of the set last night, you played Black Country, which is reminiscent of Zeppelin, I guess. One Last Soul, which is maybe a possible future direction for the band. I don't know, maybe you want to comment on that. Song of Yesterday, which is more your direction, bluesy direction, I guess. And Sister Jane, which I thought was an absolute highlight. I mean, this seems to be a band of infinite possibilities.
Yeah.
Stylistically.
We all have two working hands and, play.
Thanks, Joe. So, Kevin Shirley, you both worked with him, of course, separately in different contexts. How was this different? Was he a catalyst in the way that he was?
I mean, I've worked with Kevin, and Derek's worked with Kevin, and Jason, obviously, as well. This one differed because when I make solo albums with Kevin, I bring in the songs, Kevin kind of molds them, and we record them very quickly. This was a little bit different because we had 4 very strong personalities in the room, that Kevin had to kind of harness and kind of get going in the right direction. There was a lot of great ideas flowing, but great ideas that are just kind of, here's a verse, here's a bridge, here's a thing. How do you like condense this and make it a song? And Kevin was really brilliant in like kind of getting us all thinking of songs first and not just shred and jam.
I mean, it is a classic rock album, of course, but I was reading somewhere that Glenn said he wasn't sure what it was going to be, and then as he got more into the project, it got louder and heavier. So was it originally conceptualized as being a classic rock album you were aiming to?
This is the thing, Pete. If you asked me a year ago, today, September 21st, would I be in a hard rock band with Glenn Hughes, Derek Sherinian, and Jason Bonham? I said, Pete, I think you're crazy. How would that ever come about? But here we are later. The record's out. Yeah. It's in it's in stores now. And to me, it's like this whole thing. There's been no kind of grand. We didn't sit in a bar and hatch world domination. We all kind of got involved in this in different ways, and it's been such a natural and exciting and fun and kind of almost like blindsided everybody on how quickly and well this thing kind of came together. So.
And because it was recorded old school, a real band, did you feel you needed to do that quickly?
Well, we had no choice. We only had 4 days in the studio, so it's amazing what you do when you're under the gun.
And so you had an element of that last night for the live show, I guess. One run through, is that what you said?
Yeah, but it comes together. We're connected, and we feel, it's not a problem.
Yeah. And One Last Soul, which I personally think is a great song. Why was that chosen to be the download? Was it because it was the single?
I don't know.
That wasn't one of your decisions, I guess. Okay. But it's an interesting song because the rest of it is a lot heavier than that. That's probably got a bit more radio potential.
Well, I think that was the song that Glenn wrote that I think he was reluctant to bring to the band because he didn't think it was heavy enough for the album. I think it's one of the strongest things on the album. I think it's a brilliant song that Glenn wrote. And again, when it came into the studio and kind of ran through everybody's playing and the heavy-handedness of Bonham and Derek and when I put my bits on it, it took in a different shape and a different direction. So I think it's really, really great. I think it's actually.
And Glenn said last night that the Great Divide was one of his favourite songs. Does the band collectively think that as well?
It's one of mine.
I think it's all good. It's hard to pick.
Yeah?
Yeah. Great Divide is really good though.
Yeah. Well, it all came together last night unbelievably well. Song of Yesterday, that's what's really good on that, and also on Sister Jane's, the fact you trade verses with Glenn.
Right.
You're going to do that again in the future? That seems to work really well on the album, gives it a bit of light and shade, something different.
Initially I said I didn't want to sing on the album.
Really?
I didn't, no.
Oh, okay.
Initially I didn't want to sing on the album. I kind of was, encouraged to do some singing, but I think Glenn's voice and my voice actually work out pretty well together because we are such different singers. Glenn is just an unapologetic rock singer, and I kind of shout and key.
Well, a bit more than that.
Maybe a little bit, but that's the
tracks like Down Again reminds a little bit of Chicken Foot. Has anybody mentioned that?
Well, I haven't heard the record. I don't know.
Have you not?
I don't know what Chicken Foot sounds like.
Well, the reason I mentioned them anyway was that I wondered whether this album could have been conceived of and whether you could have come together 10 years ago, or is this part and parcel of this new classic rock upstairs that we've got at the moment?
I don't know. I don't think they had any influence on this coming together.
If you conceive it as a supergroup, much in the way as then Crooked Vultures and Chicken Foot, the mould has already been cast, sort of thing, and there it is, and you're walking right into that with even great new material.
But I don't think us in the band, that's something that the media is saying, that labeled supergroup. We're just, a bunch of guys with some names, and that, we respect each other's talent, and we're making music. It's not like, all right, let's form a supergroup. It sounds too contrived.
Yeah.
The musicians union got together and, let's make a super band. We didn't do that. It was actually,
but you have.
But a lot of us were. It literally it came together like other bands come together. We were all friends. Right. I've been friends with Jason for almost 6 years. Been friends with Glenn for almost 4. And you know, Derek came in because he had worked with Kevin Shirley, and like that's how, you know, it's like how bands form. It just happens that all of us have reputations that we're kind of we all bring to the table. Again, it wasn't hatched in a, you know, in a back room and a
record company.
It was a record company. It wasn't that at all.
There's no honestly, this record, there was no record company geeks in the studio. No one was telling us what to do. We were just like, we got free reign to make the record that we wanted, and that's what's, you know, great about this band is we do what we want.
From your own personal experience, Dave, the way you recorded this and obviously the way you just explained it all came together, that's totally different from what you've done before then, presumably.
Yeah. It's
you've been in long-term projects. Not that this isn't going to be long-term, but I mean,
this was very organically done and spontaneous, and you know, I like it. I like not having to put too much thought into recording. It isn't a science project, you know. It should be more fun.